In today's video I'm going to be talking about negative feedback, which obviously no one likes getting, but if you've been reselling long enough you're bound to sort of come across it. But firstly, if you do like the content, please click the like button, click the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified of future content. So, negative feedback. Why would I be talking about that? Well, I woke up yesterday and went into my eBay seller hub as I normally do, and normally have a quick look up at my feedback score, how many I've got that day, and I had a great big red boo, -1. So what to do when you initially get a feedback like that? Take your time, I'd say, would be my first piece of advice. Be very calm about it. Don't do anything reactionary. So just to describe what the item was, it was a PlayStation 2 console. Console only, tested, a replacement unit for someone's PlayStation that was broken. And like I say, I tested it, put a game in it, put a controller in it, played it for 15 minutes, turned it on and off, tested it with a genuine PlayStation 2 Slim power supply, and the feedback said didn't work as promised. Negative feedback. And I had a message as well, so I'd got a message saying your console didn't work, which I thought, okay, well, I'll deal with that. And then I noticed the feedback had come straight away, so the buyer hadn't taken the time to start a communication. So like I say, first thing I did was just sort of like, I think when you first start reselling, feedback is the be all and end all, and it can be quite an emotional thing. It can be like, oh, the bottom's fallen out of the world because someone's given me a neutral or someone's given me a negative. But stay calm. Feedback in itself, if you've got like a negative, it's not going to make a huge difference to your sales. If you let it stop you in your tracks and it takes all your focus, that's how it can affect you. The thing to do is deal with it and maybe get on and list a few things. You'll lose the sales from not listing. So the first thing I did was just did a bit of investigation around the buyer. So that would mean going into his feedback score, having a look at the feedback that's been left for him, just to get a vibe for what he's like or she's like. And then I normally would go into the feedback left for others, so you can see how they leave feedback for people. Is he someone who leaves a lot of negative feedback? And I do this as well if I've got an item which is of high value, say £100 or more, and I get an offer, I will always go into the potential buyer's feedback page just to check what they're like, and if it's a sea of red, I will normally decline the offer and block the buyer, block the bidder, which you have the option to do. There are options as well for blocking bidders with I think it's with certain feedback scores. You can find that on the eBay page, so that's well worth looking into. It's in the block bidders section, so look at that. Anyway, my buyer seemed quite okay. He seemed fine. So what I like to do, and this is really an individual choice, but I like to ring the buyer direct, and I know a lot of people wouldn't want to do this. I think you've got to be honest about how you are able to talk to the buyer and influence the buyer and work with the buyer. If you're going to ring them and have a confrontation, don't ring them. It is not worth doing. And in all of this process, confrontation is not the way to go. The likelihood is that if you cause more of a problem, you're never going to resolve it. And don't treat it like a fight. I always will ring someone and be there as a person who is resolving their problem, rather than having an argument with them. So I rang the buyer. I sent him a message back because he had messaged me, and I said, thanks for your message. I apologise for the inconvenience. I said, I'm sorry that you're having problems with your PlayStation 2 Slim. I'd like to ring you to talk to you in person about how I can help to resolve the issue. So it's along those lines of, you are rowing the boat in the same direction. And in every case I've had, they don't mind me ringing. I think sometimes, when I first talk to them, they might be a bit wary because they might be worried that there's going to be a confrontation. But quite, in the first few words, I will put their mind at rest. So it'll be similar to my message. It'll be, hi, you've had confirmed the situation. You've had problems with your PlayStation 2. Really sorry to hear that. And I will, just confirm to them that it was working before it was sent, and then just go through what they've done and what has happened. So in this case, I started talking to the guy, and I said, well, I tested it with a genuine PlayStation 2 power supply. It's an 8.5 volt power supply with positive polarity at the pin, a bit of a technical term. And I just said, you did use it with a genuine Sony power supply, and he said yes, but then he asked me just to say again what the voltage rating was on the power supply. So I had a feeling that he may have not used a genuine PlayStation 2 Slim power supply, which is fair enough. It's stupid, but you do get people who do that sort of thing, and there's a risk of actually, if you put in too much, you could blow it up. So he may have had a laptop supply and just chucked it in and hoped that would work. So I didn't say, you haven't gone and put another power supply in there. Didn't say that. I just said, yeah, the genuine power supply is 8.5, and you can find specifications on eBay, for genuine PlayStation 2 Slim power supplies. So I did all that to sort of help him out, and it was really, I'm helping him out, but maybe the question mark is over the power supply, and that's what I tend to do. I never would tend to sort of put the focus on him. I may put the focus on something like something else to do with the unit, or I might put the focus on it's been bashed in the post, but I'm happy to help resolve that. Or it may be like in a different situation. It might be the problem is with eBay. It's never like you are the problem and I'm battling against you. It's very much we are working together against this external problem. So we were working together about the power supply. So I gave him all the knowledge he needed about the power supply. And then after that conversation, where I've been absolutely really, really helpful, I said, I did notice that you left a negative feedback, which you're, perfectly entitled to do. But can I ask, now up to this point we'd had a very, very nice conversation, and that leads to the response that he gave. So I sort of said, could you possibly consider reevaluating that? Because I'm a small business, I'm a small one-man band, and it does really affect the business. And I think sort of 90% of people, when you say that, will maybe regret that they've put the negative feedback, or maybe think that they've maybe rushed it. And that was the case in this instance. So he was like, yeah, that's fine, I'll look at that. And he was just like, how do I do that? And a lot of people won't know how to do that. And to do that, you have to go in as a seller to your feedback page, and where you see that negative feedback, there are a couple of options, either to report feedback, and that would be if there's a profanity in there, or something not quite right. So if someone says, and it can be any level of profanity, I think, someone could put bloody useless, and you could report it to eBay and say there's profanity in there and get it removed. But there's also an option for request a feedback review. I think, you know, get the buyer to review it, and you have up to 3 to do this. Now I think it's, if it is successful, that it doesn't get knocked off your 3. It's only if, you know, it's unsuccessful you then have 2, and then after that you only have 1. So I did this for this buyer, and normally, you know, I would get a negative and it might go to a neutral, and, you know, I'm perfectly happy with a neutral. But he actually changed it to a positive. And what happened was, I think he went away and tried a proper 8.5 volt control power supply. I think he was using the wrong power supply. So yeah, good news really. It got changed around, but definitely do not battle with buyers either on messaging. Messaging, I don't tend to message. I might confirm things in messages, but messages, you don't have the emotional feel there of how they're talking, how you're talking. You can think you're messaging in the nicest possible way, and it may come across wrong just because of how someone's reading it. But like I say, you do have to be honest with your influencing skills and how you can help to resolve those situations. If you don't think you're very good at it, if you find that when you talk to people you very easily get in a kind of that situation, I'll just go away and, you know, practice being calm and being able to say the right things to influence situations. I mean, I use it when I ring eBay help desk as well. Before I ring them, I will have a route where I know I want the conversation to go, and I will steer it in that direction. And it's very important to be clear, clear about what you're talking about, and clear about, you know, what path you want it to go down. So there are some tips. I mean, normally it's always the way. I think I got my first negative when I was on 999 feedback, and I was like, here we go, I'm going to get 1,000, and I suddenly was on 998, and that was like probably about 4 years ago. I was like, what's going on? But I hope that's been useful. I mean, I hope you don't get a negative. But like I say, if you do get one and it doesn't get cleared out, and you know you can't get it changed, don't worry about it. I mean, it's really, really hard, and things can like really, you know, shove you off track of reselling. But the best thing to do is keep positive and just get a few things listed, and, you know, move forward, and you soon forget about what's happened in the past. So I hope that's been useful. Like I say, if you did like it, click the old like button, click the subscribe button, that'd be lovely, and the little tingling bell, that'd be fantastic too. But for now, take care and see you soon.